Welcome to Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. Today we're going to talk about fall cozies. You know, my favorite thing to read come this time of year. There's just something about a cozy in fall that just feels right. They're a good palate cleanser between big thick books. They're not quite Christmas. They're not quite, summer. They're just their own unique little slice of heaven. So today I've picked out a bunch from trusted authors, new authors, ones I've read, ones I need to read. Just sharing the love. So, pull up a chair, pull up something to drink, and let's get into it. First up, I'm going to talk about one I have read before. It is on my blog, which as always is listed down below in the description. And that would be Death by a Thousand Sips by Gretchen Rue. This is the second book in the Brewhouse mystery. The first is Steeped to Death. And I have read both books in this series. I enjoyed them immensely. Yes, it's a witches cozy, but it's, for lack of a better descriptor, it's white magic. It's high fireball. It's all good intention stuff. There's no coven type stuff. There's none of that uber weirdness. It's just, she basically puts good thoughts into tea and scones and sells them to people. Okay, can you lay down, please? Yes, everybody says hi. Everybody loves fireballs. Okay, lay down. So this is the second book. And I will read you the little blurb. Phoebe Winchester is back on the case in Raven Creek when a body is discovered at an estate sale. Ever since she moved to Raven Creek, Washington, Phoebe Winchester knew she would have to grow accustomed to having a lot on her plate. She's beginning to make the Victorian manor she inherited from her dear and adventurous Aunt Eudora feel more like home, successfully running the bookstore and tea shop. It's just, it's cozy. It truly is. It's just a delightful, cozy read. Next up is The Cider Shop Rules by Julie Ann Lindsey. This is the third and final book in the Cider Shop Mystery Series. I believe this one is reviewed on my blog. I know one of the books is. I'm not sure which one or if it's all of them. I read this one a long time ago. Amanda has read this recently as well. It's just a delightful fall read. Who doesn't love a good glass of apple cider? And that cover just screams fall. You can't go wrong with this series. Seriously, it's very, very good. Next up is The Raspberry Danish Murder by Joanne Fluke. This, I believe, is number 22 in the series. I have a great love for all things Hannah Swenson. I'll read you the back. And if you read these out of order, it isn't a groundbreaking thing that you're going to pull your hair out about. So while the dogs was barking, I looked this up on Goodreads, and apparently you do need to read some of the last, more recent ones in order, and they're starting to get tanked on a regular basis. So I haven't read this one yet. I don't know. We will see. I'm going to have to go back and start reading Hannah in order to see if it's worth continuing. So the old ones I definitely recommend. We will have to see if I recommend this one. That makes me so sad. I can't even tell you how sad that makes me. Next up is book number 7 in the Beyond the Page bookstore mystery series by Lauren Elliott. That is To the Tome of Murder. And I am on book 3 of this series. I'm enjoying it immensely. I'm listening to them on audio. They are well plotted. They have likable, relatable characters, and I'm excited to see where the series goes. This one takes place right around Thanksgiving time, so it's perfect for when this video comes out. The next one is Knit of the Living Dead by Peggy Ehrhart, and it is number 6 in the Knit and Kibble mystery series. I've read books 1 or 2 of this series. I don't personally knit. If you like to knit, this is a very good series for that. Book, I believe it's... No, I actually have read this book. I've read this one out of order. This one takes place at Halloween, obvious given the cover. And it was very cute. I enjoyed it immensely. No, hang on. Yep, I think I've read this one. Anyway, I will continue this series. I enjoy it. It's lighthearted. It's well-rounded. So I will read you a little bit of this series, or the blurb. When a spooky celebration in Arborville, New Jersey conjures real scares, can Pamela and the Knit and Nibble Club sink their teeth into a bone-chilling mystery that just won't rest in peace? Yeah, I very much enjoy this series, so I can easily recommend this one. Next is Scrapbook of the Dead, a Cumberland Creek mystery. It's number 5 in the series by Mollie Cox Bryan. I have a bunch of these books sitting there waiting for me. I haven't read any of them yet. I am interested in the series, so I'll read you a blurb. Halloween means spooky scrapbooks for the Cumberland Creek scrapbook crop. But what's been happening around town is truly frightening. First, a dead woman is found in the freezer at Pamela's Pie Palace. And the next day, a second woman is found murdered by the river. Reporter Annie Chemovitz learns that the victims were sisters and is certain their deaths are linked. Most bizarre of all, both women were found clutching scrapbook pages. Oh, excuse me. I really want to start this series. It sounds up my alley and delightfully cozy and what I enjoy. Next up is a book I read in, I think, January of this year. It is No Parm, No Foul by Linda Riley. It is book 2 in the Grilled Cheese Mystery series. I will link the video down below where I reviewed this book. It was okay. I will link the video down below. I'm not gonna rehash this one. Next one is Blackwork by Monica Ferris. This is book number 13 in the Needlecraft Mystery Series. It is a concluded series at this point. I have read this one. I read this one when it came out ages ago, 2009. What I really love about this series is that every book focuses on a different type of needlecraft. So you learn something every time, whether it's cross-stitch or block work or embroidery or crewel. There's always something new and interesting and a pattern related to the craft in the back of the book. It follows Betsy, who inherits a needlework store from her sister after she passes away. Betsy is an older... let's not say older. She is a mature character, and it's just a delightful, charming, cozy craft mystery, and it takes place in Minnesota. Next up, I own this one on my Kindle. It is Of Spice and Men by Sarah Fox. It is the 3rd book in the Pancake House mystery series. I have this one waiting for me. I read the first one in this series and absolutely loved it. Probably has something to do with the fact that pancakes are my favorite breakfast food of all time. Always will be. So, yeah. I love pancakes. I specifically love my mother's pancakes. Mine are second best, but I love my mother's pancakes. I will read you the blurb. With a Hollywood film crew in town to shoot a remake of the horror classic, The Perishing, the residents of Wildwood Cove are all abuzz. Even Marley McKinney, owner of the Flipside Pancake House, can't overlook the fact that the lead actress, Alyssa Jade, happens to be an old flame of her boyfriend. After all, the crew loves Marley's crepes, so much so that Christine, the head makeup artist, invites her on set for a behind-the-scenes tour. But when Marley arrives, the special effects trailer is on fire, with Christine inside. Yeah, Tammy needs to make this series a priority in 2024. Note to self when you're editing this video, write this down as a priority series for 2024. Next up is The Legend of Sleepy Harlow by Kylie Logan. This is book number 3 in the League of Literary Ladies series. I have read book 1. The series is complete. I absolutely adore this series. It is utterly preposterous and utterly wonderful and just charming as all get out. They are forced together. They aren't friends who come together to solve mysteries. Life puts them together and makes them a group, and it is fabulous. I will read you a little blurb. It takes more than a lurid legend to scare off the League of Literary Ladies in the 3rd novel in this charming, cozy mystery series. For Halloween, the literary ladies have chosen to read Washington Irving's spooky classic, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, with its infamous headless horseman. But South Bass Island has its own headless legend of a Prohibition bootlegger named Charlie Sleepy Harlow. Decapitated by rival rum runners, Harlow appears once a year in spectral form to search for his noggin. Yep, Tammy needs to read this. I have read this book. Next book, it's pretty sure it's reviewed on my blog, and that is Death Overdue by Allison Brooks. It is the first in the Haunted Library Mystery Series. I know some of you have problems with ghosts and the paranormal. In this case, the ghost is a very small part of the book. She is a former librarian. The current librarian talks to her. That is her sole involvement. She doesn't solve the case. She doesn't offer clues. She's just a foil more than anything. This is just a delightful series. I will read you the blurb because I truly love this series. Carrie Singleton is just about done with Clover Ridge, Connecticut, until she's offered a job as the head of programs and events at the spooky local library, complete with its own librarian ghost. Her first major event is a program presented by retired homicide detective Al Buckley, who claims he knows who murdered Laura Foster, a much-loved part-time librarian aide who was bludgeoned to death 15 years earlier. As he invites members of the audience to share stories about Laura, he suddenly keels over and dies. The medical examiner reveals that poison is what did him in, and Carrie feels responsible for having surged forward with the program despite pushback from her director. Driven by guilt, Carrie's determined to discover who murdered the detective, convinced it's the same man who killed Laura all those years ago. Luckily for Carrie, she has a friendly, knowledgeable ghost by her side. But as she questions the shadows surrounding Laura's case, disturbing secrets come to light, and with each step Carrie takes, she gets closer to ending up like Al. Now it's do or die time for Carrie. This series is fabulous. It has grandparents and a sweet found kitten, and there's a little hint of romance, and Yep, it's not going to be for everybody, but I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the entire series. So, next up is The Ghost and Mrs. Muir by Krista Davis. It is book 2 in the Paws and Claws mystery series. So, I know this is reviewed on my blog. I will read you a blurb and then I will have something to say. Wagtail, Virginia, the top pet-friendly getaway in the United States, is gearing up for a howling good Halloween until a spooky murder shakes the town to its core. This says I rated it 5 stars. Is that true? I rated it 5 stars. Huh. Because I remember being very annoyed by the entire town setup. It is an incredibly pet-friendly town. Now, if you know me, you know I have pets. I have 3 dogs who are all asleep at my feet. I have the bird over there. There's my chickens in the backyard. It's rare you find me without a pet. However, there's pet-friendly and then there's overly pet-friendly. So, I think I need to read another one. Let's see, the last book is book number 9, and it was published... It's being published in January. So this series is still active, so I need to give it another shot. We all learn something. Next up is The Candy Corn Murder by Leslie Meyer. It is number 22 in the Lucy Stone mystery series. It was published in 2015, so it is probably a safe bet in the Lucy Stone series. I do have problems with Leslie Meyer's books. Right around the 2015, maybe 2018 mark, politics started to enter the books and I gave up, which is very sad because this is a very long-running series. It is still active to the best of my knowledge. I'm checking. Let's see. Book 30 is being published in 2024 in April. They all revolve around holidays. If you start from book 1 and you read all the way through, you're with Lucy and her husband in their town as her, they start their businesses and they raise their children and their children grow up and that whole cycle continues. Unfortunately, this is one I can recommend the early books. And the later books I have stopped reading entirely because, as you all know, I have no patience for the real world intruding on my cozy. Next up is A Doom Full of Sugar by Catherine Bruns. This is the first book in the Maple Syrup Mystery Series. I read this recently. I will link that review down below. It has a very fall cover. There's 2 books currently in the series. The second book is, what is the second book called? Syrup to No Good. The second book is better than the first book, which flips that entire, the sophomore book is always the weaker of the books. In this case, it is very much not true. The sophomore book was a much better entry in the series than the first book. And the next book is among my favorite series, is Checking Out Crime by Laurie Cass. It is number 9 in the Bookmobile Cat mystery series, and that series is currently at book 11, which was published in 2023. So I need to get reading. I will read you a little bit of the blurb. Librarian Minnie Hamilton and her clever cat Eddie solve a perfect murder in the newest installment of the delightful Bookmobile Cat mystery series. Minnie and her rescue cat Eddie can often be found out and about in their bookmobile near Chilson, Michigan, delivering great reads to grateful patrons all over the country. But they always break for trouble, and when Minnie sees a car speeding away down the road and soon comes upon a dead bicyclist, she assumes she just missed seeing a hit and run. Minnie is determined to discover who is behind the wheel, but it soon turns out that things are far more complicated than they seem, and there's more to this case than meets the eye. Luckily, this librarian is ready to read the killer his rights. These are just delightful books for me. They're clean, they're enjoyable, they're, if you love cats, there's a cat, he's hysterical. They've got great side characters. They're very good reads. So, those are my cozy recommendations for fall. And I am sure I will be picking up a cozy or 3. Do you have any cozy recommendations for me that I've missed, that I need to read? Please leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.